How the cunning catfish escaped the frying pan. The fish's long tentacles had poked up through the water's surface and quickly became submerged upon sight of the team. Dally Simpson had been sitting on the riverbank since early morning, waiting for Legend to show. Legend was a catfish that the entire town, at one point or another, had attempted to catch. The fish was legendary in size and myth. Some in the town say that Legend must have been as long as a submarine, having a broad, flat girth, at least for a fish. At this moment, Legend watched from a distance near a rock underneath the water as the boy placed the bait on the end of the hook and tossed the line into the water. The boy could not have been more than 15 years old. Even so, Legend learned long ago never to underestimate a fisherman. Regardless of who they were and where they came from, they would batter and fry him in their pans if he was not careful, so they would all be respected. Dally had no idea that Legend had been watching him for several days over the week. This particular week had been the town's 2024 fishing tournament. The winner received bragging rights, a trophy, and $15,000 in prize money. Over the week, Legend watched as a multitude of fishermen and women came and scouted out the area, each trying to outdo the other in finding a choice spot. Tired of having to outwit every man, woman, and child with a fishing pole and a dream, Legend set about putting a stop to this chase that always ended up with him hightailing it back out to deep water, at least until the furor subsided. One year he outran a millionaire who set about winning the tournament by installing cameras on the bottom of his yacht. Luckily, the boat was too big, and as the millionaire barreled after him, the boat got stuck between two large rocks. However, that attempt was mild compared to the scuba divers who tried to capture Legend. That was a very close call where the fish missed being harpooned by the husband and wife team that nearly caught the fish of all fish. While the young couple did not walk away with the prize that year, they were one of the only people to get close enough to Legend to take a picture of him, testifying to the fact that the catfish did exist. The image of the spotted catfish's tail swimming away from the bright light of the underwater camera was plastered over every newspaper in the country for weeks. Right now, Legend remained still as he watched the boy take out his lunch to eat. A few minutes later, Legend's pal Finn swam up beside him. "I thought you said you were going to stay out of sight this competition," Finn said, swimming past Legend to see what the catfish looked at. Legend said, "I'm watching the kid because I think he came out here specifically for me. The boy has not left that spot. He's camped here the last few nights, and I don't expect him to leave until the tournament is over." "Those are the worst types," Finn said. "They're relentless." Legend shook his head, and the little tentacles in his mouth swayed in the water as he considered his options. "What are you thinking?" Finn asked. "I have to find a way to stop them," Legend said, "from coming out here every year looking for me while not getting reeled in myself." As he finished this last statement, Mullet swam by them. Mullet was a largemouth bass whose shiny scales glistened in the depths of the water. As large as Legend and the most handsome fish in the river, Mullet was Legend's frenemy. Well, more like an enemy. The two fought over Legend's prize spotted coat, and they had been at odds since. Legend and Finn caught sight of the largemouth bass, and both shook their heads at the sight of the fish prancing around in the water, while the men and women above were waiting to reel in anything to land. "I think I have an idea," Legend said. "Go get me that fancy coat." Finn said, "You mean the spotted one those people took your picture in?" "Of course, dimwit, the spotted one. Hurry before Mullet leaves." Finn left, returning a few minutes later with said spotted coat. "Swim a little closer to where that peacock is strutting his stuff," Legend said. Sure enough, Finn did it as told, but accidentally dropped the coat. Before Finn could retrieve it, a large line with a hook attached to it fell in the water, and every fish in sight scattered, hiding in a million nooks and crannies under the river. Everyone except Mullet, who could not take his eyes off the coat. The largemouth bass went straight for it, ignoring the hook and the men approaching in their boats. Above them, Legend and Finn hid under the rock where Dally stood with his line in the water, and heard someone yell, "The kid's got it! I think he's got the Legend!" True enough, Dally had dropped the line in the water just after Finn sauntered into Mullet's view. Meanwhile, by this time, Mullet pulled the spotted coat over his scales and checked himself out in a mirror that had lain in the bottom of the river for a couple of decades. As he was about to make away with the coat, it got caught on Dally's hook. Legend, Finn, and almost every fish in the river that day watched as Dally reeled the comeliest one of them out of the water. Soon after, Legend and Finn heard the men congratulating Dally on catching Legend. At first, Dally was unsure because he could not see the whiskers, the signature mark of a catfish. Soon, Dally became swept up in the revelry of making such a catch. That and the thought of bragging rights, the $15,000 in cold hard cash, made it easy for Dally to forget the questions that nagged him about whether he actually reeled in Legend. They also listened as Mullet flipped and flopped on the rocks as he tried to scuttle, slip, or slide back into the depths of the water. Soon after, the smell of fried fish permeated the entire area. Beer bottles clinked together and loud music filled the air. For the first time since the competition, Legend had peace. Dally won the contest, reeling in the legendary Legend. The catfish rid himself of his worst rival in the river. Best of all, the town believed they had just eaten Legend. No more annual week-long hunts for Legend, and no more hiding under rocks and debris to escape from the hordes looking to make a name in the sport fishing world. Just as the last townie licked the fish grease off of their fingers, Legend swam downstream, swaying his tail in the depths of the river, and lived happily ever after. This is an experiment. Please give me a thumbs up or thumbs down to let me know if you would like more fishing stories. Don't try it. One bite and you're hooked.